Beneath the surface of the Nordic winter, there is an invisible clock ticking down. For thousands of professionals, it dictates who remains in the country. Take Kavi. He is a highly skilled software engineer recruited from abroad. Yesterday, his company downsized, leaving him unemployed and facing a timeline that could end in exile. This chart shows the stark macro environment confronting workers like him. The national unemployment rate has experienced a sharp upward spike, peaking at 10.9%. The moment a migrant worker loses their job, a strict legislative mechanism activates. Under the new 3-month survival law, an unemployed foreign worker has exactly 90 days to secure a newly signed employment contract. If they fail, their residence permit is systematically revoked. Surviving that 90-day window is deliberately difficult. A worker cannot simply take a part-time job at a local cafe to buy time. The law mandates an absolute income floor, requiring a new contract to pay a minimum of 1,600 euros a month to be considered valid. The pressure builds with every single morning. Every unanswered job application pulls the worker one day closer to the border. For a worker in Kavi's position, the legal right to stay in the country is no longer a matter of integration or long-term potential. It is measured solely by their immediate month-to-month economic utility. To understand how these strict laws materialized, we have to look back to 2015. A historic influx of asylum seekers arrived at the borders, triggering a shift in national priorities that redefined immigration as a security concern rather than a social one. Yet out of that period, a different approach briefly emerged. The government launched the Talent Boost program, actively branding the country as a Nordic utopia designed to attract global tech talent and brilliant students. The original social contract was straightforward and attainable. Skilled workers were offered an accessible, continuous 5-year pathway to citizenship. As economic fears deepened in the subsequent years, politicians quietly dismantled this welcoming infrastructure. The promise of the happiest country became heavily conditional. The government erected massive new legislative barriers. The pathway to citizenship was extended to 8 years, and the wait for permanent residence was pushed to 6. A landmark study using 10,000 fictitious resumes exposes an invisible barrier in Finnish hiring. Watch the second group hit a wall. Applicants with Somali or Iraqi names must submit over double the applications of a native Finn to secure a single interview. The state also implemented aggressive algorithmic surveillance. If an international student claims even a single payment of basic social assistance to survive a freezing winter, their permit is instantly revoked. Combine severe name-based prejudice with the immediate 90-day timer, and the system functions as a mathematical trap. Immigrants are squeezed out of the workforce before their clock runs out. While the borders are aggressively fortified, the macro perspective reveals that the country's interior is quietly hollowing out. The national birth rate is plummeting, colliding directly with one of the fastest aging populations on Earth. This graph from the central bank visualizes the collision. We see birth rates crashing downward against a flat-lined economic growth rate of just 0.6%. The economy is gasping for momentum. This creates a direct conflict between demographic needs and political action. The national economy is short on workers, yet the response is to raise the drawbridge. To maintain hospitals and sustain the welfare state, the math is absolute. Finland requires an influx of exactly 34,000 skilled immigrants every single year. Instead of smoothing the path for these workers, the government recently introduced a mandatory civic knowledge test, a final hurdle creating an atmosphere of conditional acceptance. For international professionals, the policy communicates a clear priority. The state values their professional output while increasing the barriers to their long-term security. Are these strict legislative fortresses actually securing the nation's future, or are they simply building a wall around its own inevitable decline?